You're losing, you're coming up short, and it doesn't bother you, it doesn't hurt you, and you can't change what doesn't hurt.
Which is eventually the time that was not spent on learning skills will catch up to you, and the fall will be painful. What's that mean?
You know, life can be kind of difficult, right? You don't really know sometimes where you're headed. Nobody kind of gives you any kind of guidance in this world, right? And they don't tell you when you graduate college, go ahead, go Robert, you go study this. This is what, this is what your brain is suited for, et cetera, et cetera. You have to find your own path.
Imagine that you have to move forward in the world. You have to do things. Mm-hmm. And the reason you have to do things is because, well, if you just sit there and don't do anything, then you suffer and die. So that isn't an option.
If you're going to legitimately get to 120%, you have to be in pain at 70. And the reason why you have not gone to the next level is because you don't have a problem with 60. You don't. There are those of you in this room, you're losing, you're coming up short, and it doesn't bother you, it doesn't hurt you, and you can't change what doesn't hurt.
You're gonna run into challenges in life, and if you curl up into a ball and complain about it, that's not gonna help you. And if you say, okay, cool, good, here's some adjustments I can make to move forward, that's gonna be a better move than cowering.
You giving 60 is gonna cost somebody. You giving 70 is gonna cost somebody one day. It might not cost them today, but somebody might get sick. Somebody might need something from you and you don't have it. Not because you don't have the potential to have it, but because you're giving 50%.
What's the percentage chance of you making $1 million this year legally? And if you don't, everyone that you love dies. And everyone's like 100%, 100%, 1,000, 1,000%. I said, what changed? The goal didn't change. The time frame didn't change. Why you're doing it changed. Would you wake up in the morning if everyone that you love's life depended on it and be like, yeah, well, maybe I should scroll on TikTok for a little while? No, you'd be like, I'm gonna take action immediately.
So if you wake up in the morning and you don't wanna do something, you don't care enough about yourself. And that's what you need to really research is, man, why am I not doing this for myself?
The only thing you need to do is look at yourself right now and just find out, what is it that makes you unhappy? What exactly is it that at this moment in your life is binding you and restricting you from moving on? And this is the same question for everyone, but what you ultimately need to tackle is different.
Because the very purpose is you. You are always the purpose. There may be another purpose, like being a SEAL or going to college or whatever, but the main purpose in life is you. So if you wake up in the morning and you don't want to do something, you don't care enough about yourself. And that's what you need to really research is, man, why am I not doing this for myself? Because that is the number one purpose in life, is to better oneself. So that's the only purpose I fucking need.
Yeah, so if you're dealing with your own weaknesses and your own emptiness inside, you're going to be drawn to people who fill that up. Or you're going to be drawn to causes and charismatic leaders that pretend to give you a purpose in your life because you don't have a purpose, but they have it for you, kind of thing. So a lot of it has to do, with ourselves.
Learn more about yourself. This is where it starts. Because if you have the wrong perspective of who you are, what you are, everything else in this lifetime you base your decisions on is just not going to be placed in the right direction.
You got one life. It's going by quickly, and this is something that because I realized I saw a lot of people that didn't have any sense of urgency in their life, and when you don't have a sense of urgency, things aren't going to happen. You need to make things happen, as we already discussed. They're not just going to happen for you. You're not going to become a good fighter unless you make it happen. And you're not going to do anything in life unless you make it happen. So if you feel like right now you're looking around and you're lost or directionless, I would take about 15 minutes and figure out what the hell you want to do with your life, and I would start getting after it.
That something is pushing them to the side of their own lives. It's a beautiful line. Terrifying line, horrifying line. It should make everyone judge themselves.
What's it mean to you?
Oh, well, it means that there's a life that you hoped to live, life you saw yourself living, and you got pushed to the side of it and ended up not living that life. But if you do have that image of your life as you think it should be lived, and you end up not living it, that is, particularly if you can feel yourself slowly being pushed away from it, I think that's a terrible, terrible feeling.
So it's easy to get life to a stage where it's not that bad, but it's not that good either. At least when you have a full-on breakdown, there's only one way to go, right? You're only going to go up from there. But I think it's possible to wallow for years in a just about passable life, right? Sedated by comfort. And I see this temptation in myself as well, to give up the good for the great. It doesn't make sense to continue wanting something if you're not willing to do what it takes to get it. If you don't want to live the lifestyle, then release yourself from the desire. To crave the result, but not the process, is to guarantee disappointment. If you don't want to live the lifestyle, then release yourself from the desire. There is a path between where you are and the place that you want to be. If you're not prepared to do that walk, still wanting to reach the end of the path is just guaranteeing that you're going to live an unsatisfactory life. Where he talks about if you want the life but not the lifestyle, you guarantee disappointment. Like if you're going to pursue this outcome but you're not prepared to do what it takes to get it, you have no promise of glory on the other side. You're going to be racked with self-doubt, constantly uncertain. That is the process of becoming remotely great at anything.
But it's like, oh, do you want to do this or not? Which is what I think a lot of it boils down to. Do you actually want to do this or not? Do you actually want to do this or not? Because if you actually want to do it, what's going to stop you? Nothing. And if you don't really want to do it, what's going to stop you? Just about anything that comes up. Just about any obstacle that gets in your way becomes an excuse. It becomes a reason. It becomes a rationale for not proceeding down that path.
Will your belief that you're going to be viewed as a failure by your uncle be the sole reason that you live the rest of your life below your potential and regret everything that you don't do because of Uncle Tom? When you say it like that, all of a sudden they're like, I don't want to let Uncle Harry have that kind of power. I think I'm a big believer in like shame only exists in the shadows, which is like once you put it in the light, you look at it and you're like, my mom? That was really it?
If you're the sort of person who places the opinions of others over the opinion of yourself, you're an untrustworthy ally.
You're a bad friend.
To yourself.
You're a bad friend.
Yes.
You're a bad friend.
You're a bad self-friend.
You're a bad friend. And I love that. If we say this is a beautiful, let's take that definition of self. You know, let's add it to my definitions of two people who agree to grow together. I am one person who agrees to grow with myself.
You are lazy. You want to fit into the group. You want to conform because it's easy. But your oddness, what makes you weird, what makes you different, that little strange quirk in how you want to dress yourself, that little strange quirk in your musical tastes, that little quirk in the food that you like to eat, that is who you are. Those are signs from deep within, from your core, from your soul, this is who you are. And if you lose that, not only are you not going to be successful in life, you will also lose yourself.
You can't have an easy life and a great character. You can't, you've got to kind of go out there and decide what you want. That's the first great adventure. And then getting it is the second great adventure. So what do I want being the fundamental, like if you know what you want, that's incredibly powerful. Most people don't.
All the what ifs and the scenarios that you create inside your own mind that are way worse than anything that is actually going to happen, they all disappear when you go. So just take action and start moving forward. That is the moment that can last a million years, is waiting to go.
Action is an antidote to anxiety.
Man, action is an antidote to all kinds of problems.
When something appears to be like a short-term friend, it's usually a long-term enemy. Like when when you choose easy today, you choose hard tomorrow, and there's always a trade-off.
Right. But you think if you choose hard today, you usually get easy tomorrow?
It doesn't matter how you feel. The hard work just needs doing. Hard things are hard, that's why they're hard, and disregard the emotions that are getting in the way of it.
At the end of the day, I ask myself one question: can I take one more step? And usually the answer is yes. So if you can answer that question and not take another step, that is real failure. That is real quitting. So a lot of people can take one more step, but they choose not to. I don't know if you can take 2 steps. You got to answer that question after you take the first step. But I can always take one more step. So if I choose not to, that's on me. And I got to live with that.
You know, like nothing comes for free. And I've reflected a lot over the years of how much of my mental peace I've had to sacrifice to accomplish what I've accomplished. And it's just been a lot of like waking up at 5 a.m., going through the day, wake up, weigh myself, weigh my food, do my check-ins in the mirror, like go to the gym, work out. What's wrong with everything? It's like, am I good enough? Am I being enough? Am I doing enough to win the Olympia right now? It's all just compared to being Mr. Olympia, to that level of success. And
I looked in this one guy's eyes who was ringing the bell to quit, to put his helmet down out of Navy SEAL training, and I saw myself. And I saw what everybody said I was gonna be, which was nothing. What I said I was gonna be, that conversation you have, that's who I was. So that's why I lied to people to tell them a different version of the truth. Sure. I had to make all those lies reality. I had to make them real. I had to become a real person. So that's when I put in my mind that I'm gonna go to the toughest military training on the planet. And where it has the most water, the thing I was scared of the most, I had to go back.
I made the decision that day, I'm not going back. I'm not going back in that cell where there's loneliness.
And
where
anger.
I'm depressed and anger and suicidal thoughts and thinking about my father. I'm not going back.
Life isn't fair at all. At all. So what are you gonna do about it? I knew that no one was coming back to help me. No one was gonna miracle me to be somebody special. Everybody that called me nigger, my dad, my mom, all my situations were on me now. And solely on me. So I had to start developing an indestructible mental toolbox. So I sat there on that couch and I realized, man, I am a piece of shit. And even though the world helped me get here, my false reality helped me even more.
You stay in poverty until you learn the first lesson of poverty, which is 2 words, my fault. And so when I was younger, I was really angry at my parents, like many people are, right? Justified or not, doesn't really matter. I was very angry and I blamed them for the woes of my life. And I realized that when I was 19 that these people that I hated, I was giving all the power over the fact that I wasn't the person I wanted to be.
If you want freedom, if you value freedom, you can't possibly have it as long as you play the victim role. Biography is not destiny. None of that makes you who you are. None of that controls where you are in your life. I was like, if my mom had been the mother I'd hoped she'd be, I would not be the man I'm proud to be. I wouldn't have had that hunger without that. So that's where that belief comes from. That's like, life has been happening for me.
Not everything that's happened to you in your life is your fault, but whatever it is that you have, it is your responsibility to work through. It's not my fault that my father is an alcoholic, but it's my responsibility to do with it because it's the reality that I have. And if my life is going to change, I have to be the person to change it. And that's when it like clicked for me. That conversation I could say is absolutely 100% the one conversation that changed my life completely.
Human beings can control a lot more than they think they can. And oftentimes it's pretty easy just to say, oh, that's not me, that's not on me. And I think that's the whole genesis of the idea of extreme ownership is most of the time, or much of the time, people say that's not my fault, there's nothing I can do about that. And more often than people think, there is something you can do about it. And it is your fault.
Your excuses will destroy you and take everything that you ever wanted from you if you let them. Extreme ownership is, this went wrong, this failed, didn't accomplish this, and it's not the fault of my boss, it's not the fault of my girlfriend, it's not the fault of my parents, it's not the fault of the weather, it's my fault. And I'm gonna take ownership of it, and I'm gonna fix it.
When you have any kind of, any manhood, womanhood, a human being, a soul, a spirit, I must have just this much pride, because that's exactly what opened the door for me. Because every day you were a character, every day you were a clown, every day you opened that Spanish book I became haunted by the mere fact that this is my existence. And you gotta live with that. I'm not trying to be cold. It's the reality of my life.
If you want to find purpose, you have to take accountability for your life. And what I mean by that is like no one can bestow it upon you. No one can just give you a purpose. It is within you, and it is there to be discovered, right? But at the same time, everything that happens to us in our lives, we have to say, okay, how did I contribute to this? How am I responding to this? How can I make this bad situation better? What did I do to make the situation happen?
I had to stop thinking normal. I had to stop thinking normal. I can no longer be a common man walking around doing common things. It was on me. And that's the thing you have to realize. Everything you do, you may have some support, you may not, but it's on you. You have to make the decision whether you want to be a badass or whether you just want to be mediocre and everything's okay. But being a badass hurts real bad.
Do everything that you feel, even if you are told that it's the wrong thing. No. But not anything violent.
So do what you feel, say what you feel. Like, trust your heart.
Yeah, trust your gut. Trust your instincts, because that instinct is who God made you to be. Something is trying to say, be the maximum yay. Be the maximum you. And God won't give you anything that you can't handle.
Every person who doubts you is right until they aren't. It's a bug, not a feature.
People who doubt you will be right most of the time, and this further increases your uncertainty about the path that you're choosing to take. But on a long enough time horizon, most people who don't bet are guaranteed to lose. Can I be so right one time that it makes all of the times that I was wrong irrelevant? And in the nature of life, the answer is yes, almost a resounding yes.
You're living. How do you want to live? How do you want to die? How do you want to fucking be remembered? That's it. That's it. Period. You find it in the suck. You find it in the suck, and you find it repeatedly in the suck, to the point where you know exactly who you are. Most people are missing something because they don't know who they are. They never examine themselves. They've never done this experiment on themselves. The lab rat, we're all lab rats, but you're also the scientist. You create your own self. Most people are missing something because there's so much trapped in there. About 75% of you is still fucking in there. Still chained up because you just didn't want to find your willpower.
And then they do the thing you knew they were going to do, and you're screaming at them, but you really need to scream at yourself.
Yeah, so you realize anything that's like anger or frustration, that's something that's wrong with you that needs to be dealt with.
Lazy people don't know how to start. Weak people don't know how to finish. Successful people don't know how to stop. People demand success, but refuse to work weekends.
And I'm telling you, that you don't need to determine. I'm telling you it's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you it is worth it.
Yeah.
And you know what? You actually know it's worth it. That's why you're asking this question. You know it's worth it. You know it's worth it to have discipline, but you think there's an easier way. Yeah. You think that it's something that people have. Yeah. But you know what? I know it's worth it to get up and get after it. I know it's worth it, and you know it's worth it.
Okay, there is no business out there that I can take on. There is no monetary endeavor that I can take on that is worth the gamble of me losing me. It took me years of a lot of grief and pain and work to get to be who I am today in spite of who I was. And I don't want to lose that.
So this guy knows, and he wants it, and he's looking for where he can find it. And where he can find it is in the mirror.
Yeah.
That's where it is.
Yeah.
So do it, brother. Good luck. Get on the path and stay on the path.
It's more dangerous here if you stay with me. By a lot. So you might lose your body out there in the world, but if you stay here, you lose your soul.
But the third thing, and it's lesser known, and I think it's kind of a secret weapon, is kindness. And I think there's a differentiation between being kind and nice. I think women notice when you're being really nice to them, but you're not necessarily a kind person. To planting trees the shade of which you won't live under. You know, holding doors open for people, being patient, small acts of kindness with no reciprocal expectation from other people.
So sort of authentic, non-pliable, I have boundaries, but they're pro-social. You know, you are constructed by the tiny decisions that you make every single day. And even if you think that nobody else is watching, and even if no one is, because there is no hiding from it, but ultimately you need to live with the decisions that you make. You need to live with you.
Nobody cares about you more than you should care about yourself. And nobody is giving you the roadmap to like the wins. You have to go find that information. You gotta go discover it. You gotta wanna get it. You gotta wanna do it. And with the right help, the right word of knowledge, it can better help position you, but ultimately you gotta wanna do it.
Walk out of this room, you owe yourself. I didn't get here making excuses. Why? Because I owe it to myself. And can't nobody stop me but me.